I campaigned so long and so passionately against Brexit because I believed it to be a strategic error, not just of policy, but of destiny. And I haven't changed my mind about its wisdom. But reality is reality. We have done it. We must live with it, and we should make the best of it. As I've said recently, if a return to Europe is ever to be undertaken by a new generation, Britain should do it as a successful nation Europe is anxious to embrace, not as a supplicant with no other options. In any event, we should make a virtue of necessity and see in Brexit's consequences an opportunity and an obligation to renew our country and its place in the world. To succeed post-Brexit, my basic case is that Britain will have to make some radical changes. It's no longer leave or remain, but change or decline. Brexit obliges this precisely because without such changes, Britain's future is inevitably poorer and weaker. Now, Brexiteers will often balk at this stark statement, but this is where any sensible debate about the future must begin. Because just as Brexit is a reality, so are the short-term consequences of doing it. It's not to say that long-term, these consequences cannot be reversed and Britain's future be bright. I believe it can be. But it is to recognize that if we leave the decision-making forum of the world's most significant political union and deliberalize our trade with the world's largest commercial market, both of them on our doorstep and on our continent, the immediate effect cannot seriously be other than to lose political power and face more difficult economic circumstances. The right response, therefore, is to treat Brexit as a sort of jolt, as a catalyst for change, which is necessary even without Brexit, could have been done without doing Brexit, but which, by the challenge it poses us, focuses our mind and Brexit somehow enables. So this is a short speech, some framing thoughts, though frankly, each of them would merit a long essay. The first point is this. A country is more influential and powerful externally if it is successful internally. People will pay more attention to us, treat our views more considerately, be more willing to be our allies if our economy is strong, our society cohesive, if people look at us and see a nation to emulate. Britain has core strengths, some world-class companies, including in new technology, a preeminent financial sector, our universities, great centers of innovation, the English language, a good geography, and for all the divisions over Brexit, I believe we're still broadly a socially tolerant liberal democracy. Neither climate nor identity politics divide us with anything like the rancor, for example, in the United States. So we should take these strengths and we should build on them. The aim should be to put us at the forefront of technology innovation and make Britain the best place in the world to do business. We're going to need major reforms to our public services, welfare, our regions, and our infrastructure as part of a big vision, big plan for the economic and social renewal of the country. Easy to say, hard to do, especially post-COVID-19. And we can't afford to lose any part of the UK in the process. Second, we need to review and reshape our alliances. One thing I learned in my 10 years as Prime Minister is that alliances only really solidify if you're prepared to spend political capital to secure them. Anyone can be friends when the going is easy. It is when your allies see you taking tough decisions to lock in the alliance that the respect and therefore the leverage is earned. So we need to recreate points of connection and depth with our two key allies, Europe and the United States. Even after Brexit, there's plenty we can do with Europe. Climate change and future pandemic preparedness, energy cooperation, aid, a common front on aspects of foreign policy and defense. With imagination, I could see us also cooperating with European countries in areas as diverse as the regulatory framework for big technology or in research and development. I fear the unresolved issues after the Brexit deal will be a potential impediment, but nonetheless, if we subordinate narrow nationalist politics to genuine national interest statecraft, we can work together in a productive alliance with European countries. With the United States, the emphasis of the new administration on climate change gives us an immediate point of partnership with the climate summit in Glasgow this December. Likewise, our G7 leadership should allow us to work closely with the US over how we plug the yawning gaps in the global health infrastructure system exposed by COVID-19. Our alliance with America has deep, deep roots in security, defense, and economy, and we can add to them. We could, for example, become partners in development and building support for liberal democratic values. Power is shifting east, and in a few decades, the world's geopolitical power structure will look very, very different. India will eventually be a global giant, and we should put enormous effort into that relationship. The last 2 decades have seen Britain forge a modern position within the continent of Africa, and this is a continent on the move and on the up. We have huge relationships with the Gulf and the Middle East. We've developed a close relationship with Japan and Southeast Asia over time. So the point is, post-Brexit Britain's still got a lot going for us, but we need to redouble the work to prove the value. Third, China is its own special issue. At present, Western countries are without a strategic framework for engagement. They're torn between seeming to appease a much more aggressive and powerful Chinese state and turning China into the 21st century equivalent of the Soviet Union. Europe is going to be under heavy pressure from the United States to be allies in what is virtually the only bipartisan area of foreign policy in the United States, which is confrontation of China. The UK, with again some creativity, can try and bridge these positions, charting a path to ensuring at least some space for dialogue and cooperation with China, even as the West confronts and competes where necessary. Fourth, we have a strong Foreign Office, now with the old Department of Development within it. I was not in agreement with the merger. I'm opposed to the cut in aid because I think it will weaken our global claims. But we still have a big budget. The merger, if properly used, could make more coherent our foreign policy offer and make it weightier. Fifth, of course, our armed forces are globally admired. We should invest in them and make them at the cutting edge of military innovation in personnel, assets, and deployment. We should aspire also to be thought leaders. We can't alter our size, but countries do, in the old cliche, punch above their weight, and that should be our ambition. When I look at some of the countries my institute works with, they may be small population countries, but their reach is disproportionate to their size. The UK is a larger country, but the principle is the same. They have, however, all of these countries that punch above their weight, they got one thing in common, and that is political leadership prepared to take tough, courageous, bold decisions. And here is where the state of British politics makes me queasy. Both main political parties have contradictions to resolve. The Brexit Coalition, which brought the Conservative Party its election victory, consists of some who see Brexit as the facilitator of a new reforming global Britain, and others, notably in the old Labour seats of the North, who see Brexit as allowing us to return to the nation we once were. One is small r radical, the other small c conservative. The Labour Party also has a tension between its modernising wing, which sees radical change as coming from new forms of economic and social capital, and then its old small c conservative left, which believes that the solutions lie in the return to traditional institutions of collective and state power. Therefore, the colossal downside risk for Britain is that the political debate continues in conventional directions. Who spends or taxes more, who supports most the NHS, who's most generous with welfare, umpteen versions of who preserves the status quo best. when it's only by rigorous analysis of the way the world is changing that we have any actual prospect of securing the future. Now, these contradictions can be resolved, and a strong, successful, outward-looking Britain can arise post-Brexit, but only if we accept Brexit of itself doesn't make it so, and without action and leadership, Brexit will only exacerbate the challenge the forces of change at work in the world present us, unless we make a supreme effort to understand these forces, harness them, and make them our servant. So this is the moment of truth for the pro-Brexit and anti-Brexit camps alike. The answers aren't going to be found in outdated ideology, but in unifying values, clarity of thinking, competence, and delivery. And this is the political space, therefore, post-Brexit, that we have to inhabit. The alternative is inexorable decline.